You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
And today on our Total Wellness Tuesday edition, we're going to get into hives, urticaria, itchiness, allergies, and all things histamine-based reactions. So we get so many questions from our community having to deal with how do they get rid of these allergies? How do they get rid of all these different reactions to food, the environment, even unknown triggers, which is causing these hives in general? And when you think about urticaria, you're really thinking about a really hard reaction with hives to certain sensitivities that people are unaware where it comes from. So that's what we want to get into today. They're called basically histochemical reactions. So without getting too deep into the science, what happens is that these things in your body called mast cells are producing or starting the triggers of histamines, cytokines, eicosanoids, leukotrienes, all sorts of different triggers in the body that happen when your body perceives some type of pathogen, some type of bacterial invader to your body that needs to mount some type of an allergic reaction to or a reaction to remove it from the body. And so what happens is you feel the symptoms are the attack that your body is going through to go after these specific things. So the thing about it is this, that pollen from our environment, pet dander, nuts and berries and some things that you might react to, whether it's environmental or not, or from your body, that these things should be harmless. And for some reason, our body is triggering a reaction from the immunoglobulins. Now, the immunoglobulins are the IgE, the IgA, the IgG, IgM. So there's basically all these different white blood cells or immunoglobulins that are going after these specific things in your body that are causing the histamine-based reactions, that are causing the allergies, the itchiness, the hives. So let's talk about today, not what those allergies are, but what would cause this. And so you have to keep in mind that, conventional medicine is they're going to say, okay, well, we're going to put you on either some type of steroid, we're going to put you on some type of like norepinephrine nasal-based spray, a glucocorticoid nasal spray like a Nasacort or Flonase. They're going to put you on Benadryl to decrease the histamines. There's all sorts of things, right? There's Claritin, there's Allegra, there's all the different types of allergy-based medications. And they all work in a little different way. Like, for example, Singular, which is a type of allergy medication, will work specifically, I believe, more on leukotrienes, which is a different type of allergy-based reaction. So it's not necessarily should we try to knock these things down? It's let's talk about why our bodies are so reactive in the first place. I think that's the more important thing to look at. So what you can look at is you have to figure out, first of all, what your triggers are. And if you know what they are environmentally, well, if you can't avoid them, what you're going to want to do is some type of desensitization to those specific things. And you can do that somewhat naturally. You can do that through allergy-based injections, serum-based drops under the tongue. And that can be for you to decide if that's the right methodology for you or not. I typically go even more natural than that, but that does work. I have seen it work, and I can't tell you that it does not. So that is one way to go about it for environmental-based allergies, not for internal-based ones. We're going to talk about food ones in a moment. So that's going to decrease your total load on the body, meaning like the amount of allergens coming in. If you're reacting less to the environment, okay, well, that's certainly going to help. Now, the other part you're going to want to do is a food sensitivity-based test. You can't keep putting healthy foods into your body and actually you reacting to those healthy foods. You need to find out what those ones are. Of course, you want to eliminate the processed foods. You're going to want to eliminate the dairy proteins, very, very important, the heavy meat proteins. And for some, you're going to have to eliminate eggs. That's a really common allergen. But what you can do is you can customize this a little bit more by doing an IgG, food sensitivity test. And what that means is you're going to look for foods that have what's called a latent base reaction. They react in your body 24 hours or later after you eat the food. Those are very difficult to figure out what they are until you do that actually food sensitivity test. Nice thing is, companies, and our company as well, can just mail that right to your door, like literally right to your mailbox. You open the package, you do a little skin poke, and then you put drops of blood on a card, and then you mail it in, you get the results back, and it tells you all the different food sensitivities that you're reacting to that are kind of those hidden triggers 24 to 72 hours later. And for the other foods, I don't believe that you need to always do one of the IgE food sensitivity tests or IgM even earlier. And the reason is this. Let's say that you're sensitive to lobster. Now, when you eat lobster and you get hives within an hour or two after eating it, or your skin gets itchy, or you start to get sleepy, or your eyes get itchy, well, you're most likely having an issue with crustacean-type seafoods or shellfish or something like that. So you're going to just not want to eat lobster, right? So I don't know if you need to spend the money for those types of tests. Foods that you react to that you just want to eliminate from your diet when you do react to them very quickly. Now, the IgG, the one that I spoke about before, you do want to get tested for that. That's very important. Another thing that I believe that you might want to get tested for is actually a adrenal hormone stress test. And the reason is this, that a lot of the reasons why people do well on these epinephrine-based nasal sprays or inhalers or even steroids, prednisone, something like that for their allergies, is that they're actually lacking the ability to respond to stress with cortisol, which is a natural anti-inflammatory. So if your body's burnt out, maybe it's burnt out from too many years of allergies, or you're burnt out from intestinal permeability, which I'm going to get to next, your body's not mounting the appropriate anti-inflammatory reaction that it should, and you're feeling that inflammation. That inflammation feels like the itchiness, the hives, the urticaria, and all the other things that go along with it. Cosinoids, all the prostaglandin reactions, which is the inflammatory reactions in your body, you can't control that because your body is not mounting a proper anti-stress response. So by doing a cortisol-based test, you can actually see if you're producing enough cortisol. Because if you're not, well, that's really important that you fix those adrenal glands and you also take the stress off them, which I'm going to talk about next. So really, you have to look at this. A lot of people can't produce this enzyme called diamine oxidase, and that is a natural antihistamine that your body produces. And the reason they can't produce it is because it's produced mainly in the gut and the intestines. And when your intestines are inflamed, when you've been eating the improper foods, when you've taken antibiotics, when you've taken birth control, when you've consumed chlorinated fluoride-based tap water, it's going to start to wipe out all of that good bacteria, and your body cannot properly then respond to certain allergies. And you start to get what's called more intestinal permeability, or as some people call it, leaky gut. When that happens, any proteins that you're taking in, a lot of them are seeping through the intestinal walls, and they're ending up in your bloodstream. And when they end up in your bloodstream, they're not as small amino acids. They're as actual amino acid chains, and your body starts to react to those things as a piece of chicken in your bloodstream, a piece of fish, all of those things. And when that happens, you mount more of an immune-based response. And eventually, your body starts to be at too heightened of a response, and you start to produce more and more allergic-based responses because you're not properly breaking down your food. That means you might not be producing enough stomach acid. You might not be dropping enough bile. There could be improper enzymes. You have the improper gut-based motility, which means it's not moving your food along fast enough, so it's starting to ferment. All of these things can be looked at as well through what's called an organic acids test. And on that organic acids test, which is simply you wake up one morning, your first morning urine is collected and you send that to a lab, and it tells you what's your gut function like. Do you have bacterial buildup? Do you have candida buildup? If you have those things, you have to get rid of it. That's just the bottom line. I've seen so many people in my practice get better very quickly within a period of 12 weeks or so by removing that excess bacteria, removing those Clostridia-based bacteria, removing that candida and that yeast, that fungus, which again, those are molds. You're going to react to mold in your body. That's just the way it is. Candida, fungus, all of that yeast is basically a fungus is going to become a mold. That's how it works. And so all of these things build up the total antigen load, the total allergy load in the body. It also starts to congest your lymph system. Your body cannot be consuming all of these foods, not breaking them down properly, and then removing all of this waste without proper lymph function and without proper liver detoxification. So detoxification, removing food allergens and food antigens, removing environmental allergens and antigens, fixing your gut, fixing your adrenals is how ultimately you get well again. Now, is that a lot of work? It is. It is. It can be a simplified plan. It truly can be. You can get well. I got well myself. I had to deal with this myself. It's not straightforward to process. You're going to have to look at what are histamine-based foods, what are histamine-based triggers and liberators, but it can be easy. I mean, we provide cheat sheets on this, but again, a lot of functional medicine doctors who specialize in allergy-based patients, they're going to be able to help you as well, but they have to be from a functional medicine perspective or a natural perspective to really look at all these specific things. You need to look at all of them. If you're a really tough case, it's because all of these things most likely aren't working properly. And that's the thing. You just go ahead and just fix all of them. You work on them all systemically. And when you do that, you honestly can get well again. You don't have to deal with this for the rest of your life. Now, you're either going to have to deal with it through the pain and the suffering of the allergies, the itchiness, the inflammation, the histamine-based reactions. You're going to either deal with that for the rest of your life, or you're going to spend 12 to 16 weeks really cleaning up your gut, really strengthening your body, really detoxifying, and then you're going to start to feel better. And so, I mean, again, like I had no choice, but honestly, my allergies were so bad I couldn't even leave the house. My eyes were swollen shut when I woke up in the morning. I'll post pictures one day. It was so bad of, really what it looks like. But you either deal with that or you deal with spending a certain amount of time getting better. I hope you opt for that certain amount of time. Spend that time getting better. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. There's going to be a little bit of work to do, but it's so worth it. You're going to feel great at the end of it, and you're going to be able to enjoy life again. You're going to be able to go outside without having to worry about all these environmental-based allergies. You're going to be able to eat more foods once you repair your gut function, and you're going to have energy again. You're going to actually not have to expend all that energy for your immune system, and you're going to actually then get to keep that energy to use it for brain energy. No more brain fog. You're going to feel better. There's no more itchiness. When you scratch your skin, it's not going to get bright red. You're not going to have those same histamine-based reactions. Hopefully today's episode provided you with enough information that you need to get started, to get on the path to getting well again. Thank you again for tuning into the Cabral Concept.
Ever wonder what the best sauna, blue blockers, sleep trackers, wake lights, salt lamps, or other health gadgets are? Or what about the top non-toxic mattresses, sheets, soaps, bath products, toothpaste, and cookware? Or would you like to know the cleanest choices for hemp parts, meal delivery services, supplements, and much more? I personally curated, researched, and now created a resource page of all of my top picks that continues to grow each week. These are the exact products I use in my own life, with my family, in my private practice, and they're the ones I trust. To find out all of my up-to-date recommendations and all the details, simply head on over to stephencabral.com/resources.